Welcome once again, everybody, to another Talking Radio with Brad, AE4VJ. On this episode, we're going to be talking about HRDlog.net. I'm Brad, AE4VJ, the technical coordinator for the ARRL South Carolina section. We had a very exciting September, I guess you could say, at least a good solid week of it, when Hurricane Florence came through with our friends in North Carolina and on the coast of South Carolina. Came in and just lingered for like 3 days. It was a long time. We got a lot of press releases out. Mark released a video, kind of an update on what all happened as far as amateur radio and EMD and all that with the state. We had a lot of response, even from the league retweeting and resharing some posts from the ARRL SC Facebook page. So if you haven't liked us there, be sure to come by. It's ARRL SC. You search that on Facebook and you'll come right to our page. Join us, hit the like button, and then you'll start getting updates and see all of our posts. And we'll try to release some more videos. Mark's been doing some section reports via video. It's turned out been pretty good. And any big announcements, we try to do that. So I don't know anybody else that's doing video work. So to do something different and for all of us to kind of learn a new skill, I think it's been pretty good. So and each one's gotten better. But what we're talking about is HRDlog.net. That is HRDlog.net is another website and kind of a back-end cloud type service for HRD and HRD logbook. Now, one of the great things about it is you can set up if you use HRD, Ham Radio Deluxe, which I'm sure a lot of us do, you can have it to where it can back up your logbook into the cloud. So if you lose anything, you lose your computer or whatever, there's that backup out there and you can restore your logbook from that. There's some other neat things that it do with integrating some of your social media with Facebook and Twitter. And it kind of can update stuff like that, which is real cool. And there's a lot of other users. You can do instant QSLs. I'm not quite sure if those would be good enough for DXCC credit, but I don't see why they wouldn't. You could just print them at home. I need to talk to Gary Dixon on that, but I don't quite see a reason why you couldn't use that, because you're still confirming a QSL, and that would just be another paper QSL. So you can do that. It talks with a bunch of other stuff, and there's a whole bunch of other features that it does. Now, and there's some things that you got to watch out for. Well, we're going to go through all that, but it's pretty cool having all that, and it can kind of help your workflow out if you upload to EQSL and especially LOTW. And we even go back and check and see your contacts. You get an email, say these were confirmed, these are new, and all of that. It's very, very neat. And it's kind of nice that you'll get that email and you can actually see something. So we're going to get into it, how to set it up, what it needs to talk to LOTW. It's not all that hard. You can really fancy it up, and some other really cool things you can do with getting the maps out of it with the pins for your contacts that you've all made. Because we all know the grid squares if they're using LOTW, right? So you can get that and it'll pop up a little pin drop on the map of where they are. And you can integrate that into your own website, even into your QRZ bio, which I have done, and we'll show you all of that. But that is really cool, and even from the website, it will open up on Google Maps. It takes a little bit for it to load if you got a lot of queues like I do, but it's really, really cool, and you just click on the pin and it'll give you the information. So all that stuff is real nice to get a big visual, and that's one of the things I've used when people ask me about it, is I can just bring that up on my phone. And it's like, yeah, all those dots are just places I've talked to. And that's a good, solid visual representation Because I'm sure we've all gotten the question, well, how far can you talk? I'm like, well, been around the world, work Australia. That's about as far as ways you can get from my part of the world. So there's some stuff we're going to do that. So we're going to get into that, a little bit of screen sharing, and we'll talk about it. All right, guys, let's get into hrdlog.net. You see I got my HRD logbook screen up. But let's get over to the website. So when you open it up, hrdlog.net, it's going to take you to here. If you need to create an account, you can do register now. Then after we get signed in, I'll show you how to set up HRD log to automatically upload. Now, what you're going to see here, you got, here's the latest QSOs that's been used with hrdlog.net, most wanted. It's kind of a at glance little view here, and we can get a little more detail in that. And the current activity, there's a lot of activity on 20 right now. And last QSOs for the last hour, and you can change that. Then you make the animation, so that's kind of cool. Facebook, here's some stats. Almost 5,000 users online right now. It's about 11:39 a.m. on the East Coast on a Sunday. Almost 50,000 registered users, 383 online. So they got it's pretty neat little stats, and you can donate if you want to help them out. I think they're right. It's a good description. It's like air traffic control terminal for amateur radio. So we'll go to login. We're going to sign in. Now, if you can log in with Facebook if you've activated the Facebook integration. For some strange reason, on my iPhone it works fine. Right now, I'm getting a little error box that pops up on my Windows machine, and I've tried a different web browser too, so it's not that. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I've sent them a ticket. Hopefully they'll get that looked at pretty quick. Then you need to create an account there. Contact. Forgot your password. So luckily I have this saved. We're going to log in, and here we are. So you see when you got HRD logbook and all that connected up, it'll show what frequency you're at. I'll bump the VFO knob, so we'll see it. I just did that. It takes it several seconds to update, but that's okay. And you can view the logbook, import. If you're just first starting out and you already got electronic logging, if you're moving from something else, I would probably do a backup or export your log to an ADIF and then load it from here. And that way it will be on hrdlog.net. So they give you, there's a lot of scripts to create stuff like this, these type graphics. And, it gives you a whole bunch of neat little stuff. Populate, tell you how many worked, how many got confirmed, this little license plate here. And we'll get into that. And you can even put them on your QRZ page or your own website if you'd like. So we'll just go through it. We're going to go through the main menu here over here on the right. Open logbook. You got some tabs here. We'll get into that here in a minute. You can go by, and this is going to give you, you can edit, you can filter them page by page. The neat thing here is this will show you if it's been electronically logged or electronically confirmed. And here's the legend down here. If you got, that means it's been confirmed, hrdlog.net. And if you see the green flag, you can do a instant QSL. You can actually print that, so they'll generate that. You can upload your own picture and lay that out how you want, which is kind of cool. Saves a lot on postage. I'm going to email Gary Dixon and ask him his views on that. We'll get into that later. I'll do a little update when I hear back from him. EQSL has been received. You'll get a full one, and then LOTW received, and just a regular QSL, and that would be updated from when you do your log. But you can't do that. If you want to print it, you can print it.
we're not going to do this because of the amount of queues I have in my log. I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. You can search, QSOs, and here's your IQSLs, your instant QSLs. There's a list of these, and that's pretty good. So you see how some of these guys have modified theirs and made it their own. But here it is, and you can print it out. And I would think you should be able to just send that in when you get your cards checked, but I'm going to check with Gary before we make that 100% accurate. You can search for other calls, so like, yep, I know I've worked him. We'll see what comes up. Here's all the times I've worked Mark. So, in all the modes. So it's really cool. It give you these check boxes. Online QSL request, you can set that up, and people can PayPal you money or whatever, much like the Club Log does for the expeditions, and you can update those. You can import your logbook. You put the logbook there, your file, your ADIF, and you go backup and restore. Now this is real handy, and I actually use Dropbox as a backup. I have HRD logbook actually saves backs up to my Dropbox just in case, and also have permission for this to use it. So it will just, if you need a backup, they'll run it and then put it on your Dropbox, which is really cool. The analysis, which is kind of neat, and we'll take this a minute to load. So right now we're looking at work. Let's look at that's fine. That's work. Let's look at confirmed. And this is going to take a little bit longer to load. There you go. And we can zoom in. So in Africa, so the ones in green are the ones you've worked. These are the ones you haven't. This is kind of neat. Then you can get a chart analysis, which I find not quite as easy to read. It doesn't give you quite the detail, but if you want some rough numbers, look to it. And then you can actually take the code. They give you the code, and it just iframes it out. You put that on your website or even your QRZ page. Your QRZ page is in your bio. Is an excellent place to go and put information about yourself. If you don't have a website, QSL.net gives free space to all hams. All you got to do is sign up. I forget how much storage you get, but that's where my site is. If you're interested in that, QSL.net/AE4VJ. But you can do a lot of stuff just from your QRZ bio. Other members, you can look at other members' logbooks. So it's like, you can send them SMS messages. I don't know. I haven't used this. I would imagine some people getting some of these messages would probably be a little confused. Callsign Monitor, so if you wanted to look for somebody. But if you wanted to look, you could see if there's been any spots. Reverse beacon network, and there's some info. And if they're actually using hrdlog.net, you can see their QSO per hour if they're real active. The public chat I haven't used. I'm not exactly. Well, you can see it's kind of cool. You can go through and look, see which people are on the air. Look, you just worked 64 countries work. So it gives you some neat features. I don't know. HRD's got so many other windows up with that. Keeping this up just isn't quite for me. But some people like it, and that's great. So, if you want to do that, that's fine. And another interesting thing is when you use HRD logbook, this is real time. And as soon as you hit the Save QSO button, it uploads to this website. And a lot of times, if I work somebody else using it, I'll get an email back, say, hey, so-and-so just confirmed a QSO with you. That's kind of fun, that instant gratification. Propagation, it'll give you some of those reports. Takes a little bit to load. There you go. So it'll give you the charge. I think this backdrop might make it a little busy and makes it a little hard to see some of that stuff. QSOs per hour per week. This is QSOs per week. This was last year. So it's kind of neat to get some of those stats. The most wanted list, countries less herded. Now, a cool thing it will do, give you suggested QSOs on the current activity, which I'm going to show you right here. So here this is. So you can change amateur television. Won't care anything about that. Slow scan, gritty. So CW digital and phone. So it'll give you a map view. And there's a lot of information there. It might almost be too much. But you can scroll through here and it'll tell you they're on 20 meters. How long it's been. The source, I'm not sure. Maybe there's a legend at the bottom. No. I'm guessing this is cluster. This might be club log or logbook. I'm not exactly sure. But you can click and they'll tell you, these aren't little pop-ups are nice to show you more information about them. So he's using Ham Radio Deluxe. So that's all fun stuff. Let's go back up. I want to go through some of these tabs real quick. So here you are. When you log in, this is your My Open Logbook, and it'll tell you, if you see somebody on the air and you're using HRD log, you can click that, and that should set your radio to their frequency. I haven't used that, but that could be kind of handy if you're poking around, something pops up that you need. So the website tabs, where I have it set up, here's my website. I need to do some updating, but there you go. Your Facebook, it'll take you straight to your profile. And here's your hrdlog.net page. Let's go in and your account, modify profile. Here's where you can change your password, your email address. You can share your stuff with the other stuff. HRD label, I mentioned a little bit of that. I got to get back into that. The first time I tried to use it, it was a little quirky, and I think they got a newer version out. We need to look at that. Here's where you can, you can link your Facebook. And once you do that, you can use the login with Facebook, which, if you don't have to keep up with another username or and password, we'll probably offer that. And you may not use Facebook or any social media, but the neat thing is, you can, even with Twitter, new QSOs, new country, every band change, at most every 5 minutes. Yeah, that can be. I had to turn that off because I was looking back at some of my tweets, and it's like, my God, this is just too much information. But this can be kind of fun to use for you and your friends or anybody else if you use Twitter. LOTW integration. You can let it check, and it will update your grid location based on that, and that's probably more accurate than what's going to be anywhere else. You can send new QSOs to it from here, so you don't have to do it from HRD logbook or your other logbook. You can send it straight to here, and then let this distribute your QSOs to LOTW and EQSL, and it will also go back and check, and then tell you, here's your little message, last received, and last QSL received, and last QSO, and next check. It's going to be after 10.3, so that's fine. Only thing you have to do is upload your P12 file after you do your TQSL and all that, and you get all that set up, and you get that P12 file, and that's got all your information in it. That's all it needs. EQSL, just your your username and password for that, and it will send those for you too. So the nice thing about it, how it really helps out with the workflow, and the reason I got into it was because it's one place I put my log. I log my queues, and then it sends it here, and then this distributes to LOTW and EQSL. If it just work with Club Log, which I guess they have some kind of similar features to that, but HRD Logbook makes it pretty easy to do that too. That's something for another time, but we can look at that in the future. So your quick links, so it will show you your logbook data, or your logbook, your data, your awards, and your stats. And here's images you can put on your website, or even your QRZ, and I'll show you my QRZ, how I have mine set up. The plate we saw on the login screen, an image of your latest logbook entries, and then you're on QSL. Now I'd take you to this one. So it's pretty good stuff to be put in your favorites. You can set up your awards and all that. What you have to do is take pictures of them and then upload them. But you can also display this inside your website. Alerts, you can set up some alerts, based on these criteria. This is kind of neat. And that's what I was talking about when I've gotten a confirmation on somebody else using hrdlog.net. I'll get that email back, and you can kill that if you want. If your top user week might be kind of fun. So here you can set up all this stuff to email, SMS, or pop up. Now, odds are that this is going to be open all the time. Maybe it is. For me, it's not. So the pop-up doesn't really do me much good. But you can set up some alerts. Maybe an email might be nice. Most of us probably have smartphones, so you'll get the email. All right, so if you got an account manager, you can set that up here. I do not. So you can have an email alias. I don't know if I ever, I never set this up because that's, I got enough email addresses between the ARRL, forward, the QSL.net forward, and all that. I just didn't enable it. But, if you want another email address, you want to give somebody your real email address, you can give them that. You can set up the direct QSL request. So if they go to you and hey, they want to PayPal you the money, and you can set all that up here. Just be sure if somebody sends you the money, you actually send them the QSL. I know it takes some time to do. You usually, especially if it's a DX card, you got to go to the post office and all that. But yeah, it's just the right thing to do. You don't have to do it the next day, but I would probably every couple of weeks you need to take care of that. It's just the right thing to do. So with your privacy, if another user is looking up your logbook, you can hide some other information. You make public or private. The entities map, public. It's just it's fun to see, and we're going to get into that here. Profile, we went over that. Put your location in, and it kind of give you a little box about where you are. User data. You can QSL via all this other stuff. Here's where you can enter in some info about yourself. Upload your picture. And I had done this at one time. Apparently, either something happened or I screwed something up. I had a picture of my QSL card. I need to upload that, but this is kind of a default image. So you might see some of those show up in your email after they're confirmed, and it's all right. It just is what it is. Your instant QSL, here's where you can design that a little bit. So let's go down you can put your equipment in. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, you know, you can I have or I wish. There's a picture of my tower and antenna. Oop, I do not have that one anymore. I do not have that either. Oh, it says sold. Like pictures of your awards. You got to take pictures of them or scans those so you can upload to them. Your entities. We looked at that. So let that load, see if we get any pop-ups. Yeah. It'll tell you what the flags are. Well, that's fun. The QSO map. Now, here is one of the coolest things I think about using this is, and this is what when people ask about, you know, how far can you talk, and that's kind of a to us it's kind of a strange question, but I guess it's not really, because there's not a definite answer. You just go back around the world, and the world's you know, so it's a sphere. It comes back around. But for me, over here on the East Coast, if we get down to this area, that's about the other side of the world for us. But on this view here, if you hover over the contact, and these are actually, looks like they're based on their grid square. You know, it'll pop up the information there, the country, their grid, continent, band and mode, and what date and time. So that's the only problem is you can't zoom from here, but open using Google Maps. Now this takes a little bit to load. Well, that loaded a lot faster than it did in the past, so that's good. And we can zoom in a little bit, and now we have all these little pin drops, which if we click them, it will give us the same information. But like over here where it's real crowded, you can zoom in, you know, and it breaks them up so you can see a little bit more. So this is one of the coolest thing I thought, and just how great of a display that would be. And this is the screens I show people when they ask, you know, where have you worked? And I bring this up and I'm like, well, here you go. And then they're color coded by band and mode. So that's an impressive display, I think, to show people. And then as you run your mouse over, it'll show you the grid square that you're in there. Now the scripts. So this is a lot of fun stuff. So you can, it will create them for you. Just tell them what you want. And you can select what to see, and this will tell you kind of how it works with the different platforms, your website, QRZ, and Facebook. You can the on-air status, and it will modify it here as you go. And you can edit all these, and it will show you what it's going to look like. So, and the reason these the times are out, that's so you don't falsify any QSOs. So I'll show you, and you can take this and paste this code into your website. You can use this code. This will go to your website, kind of OK, and QRZ. But you can create all different codes and put them wherever you want. So that will all work. Now the Facebook, for uploading this to Facebook, you actually have to create a different page. It's not going to work, I don't think, on your personal. You'd have to create a page for you, which I know sounds kind of confusing. So I have on my website, you go to the logbook tab, and that's what it shows you. Now you can enter, you know, your call sign here, and it'll show you when that's worked. We'll just use Mark as an example. And it will populate all this stuff. So it's kind of cute, kind of cool. So let's go back. It will also show you the, takes a minute for that to load if you're on the air. While that's loading, let's go to QRZ. So here we are on QRZ. And here it is, the script we took from the website that they created for us. And there it is on the air. That's where I'm at, the radio. And you can do the same thing there, and it'll tell you your station you worked, the band, and the mode. And then here's the little image. Now this is just an image, but it's a live image, so you know when you load a new one or work a new guy, it's gonna update. I think that'd be cool, like on a contest or something. Just pop that on a screen and have it refresh, because it's just a JPEG, and have that refresh every couple of minutes, and you can kind of see it populate. I always thought that'd be real neat for an actual logbook program to do, instead of just giving you a count or, you know, some weird stats, but an actual visual representation. And I saw this, the Dutch Fork Club did this kind of for Field Day a few years ago. Excuse me. And I talked to Jack, and they use N1MM. I'm not exactly sure how else they did it, but I've been trying to get that information. But that was the coolest thing I saw that entire Field Day. And this another, the flag counter. It's another thing you can put on there, and that's a free thing. You can pay and get a little more details, but then, you know, you can put the little placard down here at the bottom, kind of like bragging rights, you know. So there's that. You can do private messages, but the scripts, that's a real fun thing. You know, if you're using want to put stuff on your website or in your QRZ bio, and that the QRZ bio info, that place is a good place. You could actually create your own website within that one tab. You could really do it there. And we go to utilities. If you change your call, if you need to restore, clear them, you get a new call sign, you know, you can do that from there. There's some other stuff over here, the DX cluster, another visual representation. You can even put this script in there. That doesn't really show us anything. Contest reminders. What's HamNet? A net list. I guess we could add some nets in there. That might be a good thing. It looks like they need some information there. Some people have webcams, you know, if they're online. I choose to use my bandwidth for other things. I only got 5 meg up, so points of interest. Let's look at some of these. That's neat. Some interesting stuff there for POIs, news, help, and resources. So here it would tell you all the supported logbook programs. So if you don't even want to use HRD log or HRD, you can use some of these others. You kind of have to bridge some of them, you know, like here you use the UDP upload, but you can use it with other stuff. So, you know, these are here. Looks like they're adding stuff too, so that's in progress. And other programs. So it's a cool website that does a fair amount of stuff really well. You know, if you really like it, I'd say donate to them, and you can set all this other stuff up. But like I said, the reason I started using it was because it would send to LOTW and EQSL for me. Now, to get it back into HRD logbook, you'll still have to download them from the site, but you can do that straight from HRD logbook. So, to start talking to it, we need to go to configure and hrdlog.net, and really all you need to do, you can check these things. You know, you want to upload every time a new one's added. That just is one less thing you got to remember. And this is kind of fun that pop up the other stuff. You know, it says on air and the frequency on the other scripts. So the username and the upload code, which you can get from them, and it tells you how to get that. And that is it. Now, here's something I have found. A little bug, or it's a, yeah, I guess it's a bug. For contesting, I use N1MM. So what I do from there is I take an ADIF export from that and import it into here. Now, probably the way I'm doing it's not the best, because when you do that, it dumps them all in here, and that's fine, but it won't automatically upload them to hrdlog.net from an import. Only when you add a new queue and you hit add does that execute that. But you know, so you just do the shift click method, right click, and upload. Now I have noticed in big contests where you got several hundred queues or a couple hundred queues that, and it will run down here in the log, and it takes some time, but you'll start getting some strange email messages back. Hey, you got this QSL, but it wasn't in your log. So, and some of those I will automatically upload to LOTW on its own, just because some of the other people's stuff starts coming in, and just so I know it's up there. So you might start getting some of that. So the problem is sometimes it will skip over some, or if there's a little error in one, it's just going to jump over it. But if you've uploaded it to like LOTW, and you'll get a confirmation back and it's checking. So I have noticed some of that, and I've actually found a handful of countries that I needed for a DXCC somewhere on some band or some mode that I actually had already worked. They just weren't showing up in here in the awards tracking and everything else. So be careful of that for like contests, big stuff like that. Maybe what you want to do is just take an ADIF and upload it. You know, if you're doing like a big batch, but just running around, you know, rag chewing, stuff like that, just kind of running a frequency or something, it works really well. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know what you think, and if you got any questions, you know, let us know. I'll do what I can to help. And but go check it out. It's a neat little thing. You might find some other stuff that you like. You know, some cool links over here. HRD label, that's another one that I mentioned. Your QSL emblem using HRD logbook database. So like I said, the first time I used it, it was a little weird for me to use, so I didn't. But the neat thing about it is it will update the, you know, the information in your log entry that, you know, it's been printed and stuff like that, or the QSL's been sent. All right, thanks guys.
All right, guys, that was it. hrdlog.net. It's pretty cool. Hope you guys check it out. It's free to use. They ask for donations if you want to. You don't have to, but it is appreciated. And there's some other things that will integrate with HRD log and HRD logbook and hrdlog.net, including HRD labels, so you can print your QSL labels if you're mailing out cards. That's a separate app. I've tried it. It had a little quirks the first time I did it a couple of years ago. I haven't really looked back at it since, but it's kind of cool, and it will update your logbook in the settings for, or in the field for, if it's been printed. So that's kind of handy and to help out your workflow. I always try to do some of these. It's actually going to help you out with your workflow, make things easier for you. And maybe one of the little less things, because let's face it, keeping up with QSLs and all that, that's daunting. If you don't stay on top of it, you end up with a stack of cards. I got a stack sitting over here, and I have to go through, you keep them in stacks or however you do to organize it for your DXCC, and if they've been mailed and all that, and your responses. So that can be a big task. So anything to help with that, I always think's interesting, and try to let other people know. So Thanks for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, hit that little button down there below. You can click the bell and you'll get notified anytime we do updates. So give us the thumbs up, like it, smash it if you do, if that's what you're into. I think that's what the kids are saying. And we'll see you next time. It's about time for the 28340 Hoodlum Net here in the Carolinas with our very own KE4NOE, Barry Jones. He's been calling it for 20 years. We're almost to net 1,000, which is a major milestone for something we kind of, it was started out as a little bit of a joke with the name, and maybe we'll do a little special on that in the future. So if you're licensed for 10 meter operation, come on down. If you can hear us, join in. 28340 starts at 10 p.m. every Saturday. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.